everyone, Tyler DeLuca here in the No Cap space with another interview. I'm joined by Greer and our very special guest, Emily Engstler. Emily, thank you so much for being here in the No Cap space. How are you doing today?
Absolutely. I'm good. I'm good. I'm doing well.
Well, we are so stoked to have you in here. You've got a lot going on recently
Yeah.
here in the basketball world. I want to start with the W, and then we're going to get into some more stuff you got going on. You signed the training camp contract with the Mystics. First off, kind of take us through the process of how that got signed and why the Mystics.
Yeah. So I'm extremely grateful because I got injured in July. I dislocated my shoulder, tore my labrum, and some cartilage that had to be fixed in surgery. And they offered me that training camp without even like needing to really, necessarily see me play, which
Mm.
I feel like was a leap of faith that they're taking, and I appreciate that a lot. And I went to their training camp last year, and I had a decent training camp, and I think that was where they got to see me play and know what my game is and where I can take it, and that's what they're basing it off. Which, you know, um, Coach E, he's a really good coach, and I'm super excited to get there. I felt like that training camp, I got better in 2 weeks more than I did that whole season. So like, I really like the way that they invest in their players, and I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of ask about obviously you now have some W experience and kind of thinking back to when you're first coming into the W. Now you've had a couple training camps. What do you feel like has kind of prepared you most that you'll take into this training camp that you learned in those previous ones to better prepare yourself for this one?
Yeah, that's a great question actually, and I hope this gets to the right audience because
Mm.
last year, getting cut is hard on your mental, and then I went into training camp super nervous. Like, and I think when I left training camp, they kind of emphasized that to me, like, when you go next year, like you need to have more confidence and
Mm.
in your game and in yourself, whatever, even if that's just like making sure you're on the floor first, etc. So I think going into this training camp way more confident in my abilities as a third year player
Mm.
will be what takes it to a next level for me, because going in with all those nerves, it's just not, it doesn't help your game. You know what I'm saying?
For
So
sure.
I'm excited to go in and just have a lot more confidence because I've already been there, been in the league a couple of years, even though obviously I've been in and out, but there's
Mm.
experience on the floor. So yeah.
What have you done? Like, what tools or resources are you using to get your mental right and, pursue this professional basketball career at the highest level?
Yeah, I would say first thing is, and I was never big on this, but once in a blue moon, like I talk to someone, and that helps me, like my psych helps me mentally in my own life and on the court. I think it's important that you do that, whether that's once a month or once every couple of weeks. I think that stigma of talking your feelings is bad should really be ended because athletes need it. So that's one step. But I would just say, keeping like the right people around me who are in my ear telling me things that are keeping my head up in a small circle. I think that's extremely important because getting around the wrong crowd can really mess up your mental.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of those tools now, obviously, luckily for players, is being able to have a league in the off season here
Yeah.
in the United States, not having to go overseas. Athletes Unlimited is something you'll be participating in. Kind of just take me through that process as well of what kind of drove you to wanting to do AU this season.
Yeah, so I didn't think going overseas was the right decision coming off of a surgery. It's obviously overseas can be very aggressive, and it's not saying this league isn't, but it is different. I would have to go and travel and figure out on a roster that people have been playing on the whole year. And this, at least here, I knew everybody would be new to it, and we would figure it out together. And I know that their medical is good, and that was a big thing for me. But yeah, so it was a process. I reached out to my agent. I said, can you try to get me into this? And it took some time, but we're here now, and I'm extremely excited, and I'm just really happy to play again. It's been like, I don't know, 8 months since I've played a
Yeah,
basketball game.
yeah.
So
I think it's interesting there that you mentioned the travel because the overseas travel has to be rigorous,
sure.
even just getting overseas alone. Uh, how much of an advantage is it during this off season to be in a centralized place like how AAU is just in Dallas and not having to worry about the overseas travel and the kind of burdens of that? How much of a benefit is that?
Oh my gosh, I'm so grateful. Like at the end of the day, we like overseas. Some people love overseas. Some people
Mm.
hate overseas. It makes us our money. We're grateful for it, but like it'll never be my first choice. Like if I could stay in a league
Mm.
in the States, I would, and that's just my preference. I've tried it overseas. It wasn't for me. I'll probably go back because at the end of the day, you got to make your money. But
Mm.
this is a really important league for us, and I think that they know that, and that's why every year I've heard they improve every single year for the player care, and I think that's really awesome of AU.
Okay, so yeah, you're gonna be playing in AU this year. There's a lot of WNBA players or like players who were on rosters last year. Let's say that you're the top top point getter in AU, and you have the ability to draft a player. From what you've seen so far, like put on your GM hat, who is Emily selecting?
Who's on the team, Emily? Who's on the team?
Oh, that's tough. I mean, we haven't really played like here yet, so I'll probably base this off of like playing people in the W and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think I think Kalani Brown is a phenomenal five. Like, she's extremely hard to guard, and I think her post moves are just out of this world. Like, I've had to guard her, and I know how difficult that is. So I think that would elevate for her. But I really like Tosh. I love the way she plays. I got to get a taste of the way she plays at training camp at Washington last season. And she's a really good teammate. So those are two people that I think I'd grab quick for like a big and a point guard.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really go wrong with either of those. Those are two very, very solid picks.
I like the team already, honestly.
Yeah, right. It's working for me. I do kind of want to ask. Obviously, the rules and kind of what you're striving to gain in AU is very different in comparison to the W, where it's a little bit more team oriented, while AU has more individual aspects to it. I'm just kind of curious from a player perspective, is that like refreshing in a way to be able to play under a different rule set, or like what is there a different mentality going into an AU season in comparison to a W season, and kind of how does that impact, if any, how you're kind of going into this AU season?
This might not be the most popular opinion, but this is just me, and this is my personal opinion. I'm not the biggest fan of that concept, just because I'm not that like, it's never been how I played. I'm good under discipline. I'm good under like longevity of being with people and taking my time to get comfortable. So I just, I'm not someone who, and I know this, and this is why I've gotten to where I've gotten, because I'm not going to do what I can't do. But I'm not someone's going to come and drop 40. But I will get you 10 rebounds, 10 points, 5 assists. Right. Like, I've always been that kind of player. So that was something that made me nervous about this league, actually. I know a lot of people who would say that it's extremely refreshing, and that's great. But it's definitely something that I did on purpose to get out of my comfort zone, because, you need that confidence going back into the W as well, though. Because at the end of the day, that's another league where, I mean, yeah, you're playing together, but it can be a little more one-on-one. There's no zone. You know what I'm saying? And you need that dog. And I'm hoping that I can find that in myself here.
That's super dope. That's a cool perspective, because I honestly hadn't even thought of it in that way of like being able to kind of push the limits, because I definitely would you're kind of one of the players where maybe not everything's shown up in the box score, and obviously that's something that is very highlighted in AU. So I think that's super dope that that's the mentality of like trying to push yourself, because I mean, it's definitely part of being in the W.
No, I'm looking forward to watching you try to get your shit off. For real.
Like
that's
we're here for it now.
What you said is like,
I might try out new moves that I've never done before.
Tyler,
I don't know.
I love it. I love it.
So okay, like going on that, you've been just doing a lot in basketball, right? You coached at Christ the King, which is like a premier girls basketball program out of the state of New York this season. I believe they're going to the playoffs now, so obviously you're not with them, but they've had success this season, and you're coaching a lot of girls who are D1 prospects. Can you talk about like, and it really hasn't been, you're not that far removed from high school yourself, honestly, right? You're a 3-year pro, did like 5 years in college. I mean, like, it's less than a decade.
True. Yeah.
Less than a decade. So like in theory, they're just a generation behind you, right? So can you talk about like the biggest changes you've seen in high school girls basketball in those like 8 years, and what the kids are doing?
Yeah, so I'm super happy that I had the opportunity. I was actually, it stinks because I had to leave them for playoffs, and I had coached the JV team, so that's I was upset about that. I was just watching them beat McClancy to go to semis last night on a live stream, so proud of my team. But it's very different. Like, and there in positives and negatives, I would say like the positive things are, I think that we're putting more money into, like, they have a conditioning coach. I didn't have a conditioning coach in high school. You know what I'm saying? Or like better training, and that's great, and I love that for them. But then I think the negatives come back to the making money thing, and I think it falls into high school as well, just because we're all trying to strive for that instead of just playing the game. And that was something that I knew I wouldn't like about the making money off your brand. I love that we can, but I knew that that was the part that was going to bother me as a player. And then coming to the coaching world, seeing it affect these kids, like seeing it affect, and I'm not just talking about my group. I have a great group of girls, great families,
Right.
but I've seen it, like it affects like the parents get on them. And it's just different. Like when I went to high school, I don't know, you wouldn't even know my mom was in the stands unless she was cheering for me. But like, I just feel like now, you know, they fight with each other. And I wish that we can change that, but I think that has to do with the whole making money thing, sadly. So that's the negatives that I'll say has spurred into the high school basketball. But there's plenty of positives. Like, I don't know, I feel like the level might have been different when I was there. I do think, you know, we were maybe a little more prospects going D1, etc. at the moment, but there's a lot of girls there that can. They needed people like me and the coaches that were there to put their names out there. And that's something that I really tried hard to do with some of the girls on varsity who might not have a scholarship right now. And I'm hoping that I can continue to do that even while I'm not coaching. I hope they can feel comfortable to reach out to me and ask whatever they need, because at the end of the day, I'm a resource for them. And I just think that more girls should go back and do this because it's important to that younger generation.
Yeah.
Do you feel like being obviously coaching at a lower level than what you're playing at, but do you feel like being able to kind of be in that coaching role and be able to experience that has changed any perspectives that you have as a player and how you're looking at the game or in any way like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll say it right now. I'm not the best, like Joe DeLuca, Mackey. They're the head coaches. They coached me, so I wasn't the best X's and O's girl. Like you put me out there, and I can hoop because I could feel the game. But if you sat here and tried to tell me exactly like what to do this, I might go out and forget everything you told me. So he was like, come in and be the one doing that now, and maybe when you go back to playing, it'll resemble on the court for you. And it really did. I joke with my assistant coach who now took over as the head. She was like, I'm gonna miss your witty with calling plays and just drawing up random things. And I'm like, Emma, did you think I knew how to do that when I first started? It just kind of you learn. And now, yeah, there's plays that I just have on the fly in the back of my mind now that I think will help me. Not saying I'll use them, tell a coach to do it, but yeah, it helps you. It allows you to be better. So that is one
Emily
thing.
grabbing the clipboard in a huddle.
We need it. We need
Sweating.
it. We need
writing quick.
You got the golden
Stressing
clipboard,
out.
Emily? What is it?
I should. They gotta get me a golden clipboard.
I love it. I mean, that's super dope. And kind of in the same wave of talking about the high school level. I know that your mom also played at Christ the King and everything. And what type of impact did your mom having, like being a player and everything and growing up and having someone that understood kind of the level that you were trying to get at and obtain and everything? What type of impact did she have on that?
So I love my mom, but she didn't play past high school, and she just started basketball in high school.
Oh, okay,
so I wouldn't say, yeah, I love her, and I think she's gotten more understanding of the game as I've played, and she knows what she's talking about now because she watches me. But I definitely grew up in a family that it wasn't basketball oriented. It wasn't like they played, but like it wasn't like I had, you know, one of those basketball moms or basketball dads who coached. That's not how it was. So it's funny because I actually people like Joe DeLuca or Jessica Vilplana, she's a close person to me, coached me growing up. They were more who I went to as like coaches, mentors, friends. Now, obviously, I'm older, where I could speak about basketball because I don't think that my household understood those frustrations. And you know, I was a very passionate player, or if I got a tech, like instead she'd yell at me instead of understanding like what I need in the moment, and that's completely okay. She didn't play basketball at a high level. That's not her fault. So it's funny that you say that because I don't know if people think that, but that is not the case at all.
Emily said I've been beating her since I was 11. Please, I've been her in the driveway forever. I want to know: are you tapped into the college game right now at all? Like it's, you know, Caitlin Clark just broke the record. Louisville is doing Louisville things, right? Like kind of flying under the radar right now in the ACC, but they could still, I think they still have a shot at winning the conference, and obviously have a shot at winning the conference.
And Q's too.
Right?
Yeah.
And
Q's
too.
Yeah, no.
Daisha Fair, you know, she's going to
it's good.
as a top 5 all-time scorer in D1's basketball history as well. You know what I mean? So we definitely want to talk to you about, you know, your former programs and how well they're doing, but particularly like someone like Jeff Walls, who was, you know, your coach as you entered into the W. Can you take us back a little bit? Like, what were you looking for when you were transferring out of Q's, and what were you looking for at your next program if that was like going to be your last year playing college basketball?
Yeah, it's funny that you asked that question because I think most people would have been like, I don't know. Yeah, at the end of the day, I was trying to play professionally, but
Mhm.
that's not like I didn't call Walls and say, I just want to go pro, like get me pro. I called Walls and I was like, I want I want someone who is gonna have like a build a family around me. I wanted
Mhm.
like that love that I felt I didn't have with the staff at Syracuse. And I have a lot of love for Syracuse.
Mhm.
I loved my teammates. There was so many good things I can tell you about that, but that's just my opinion, and it's how
Right.
it went for me. There wasn't a relationship there, and that's what I was looking for. And I'm glad I trusted him because obviously coaches can lie, and I didn't. I took a leap of faith in the fact that
Mhm.
he was this family man who that's how like he expressed that to me, and he was so right because I still call him. He can be coaching a game in like an hour and he picks up the phone. Like it's
Mm.
it's a lot of love there. Like if I go in Louisville, I can stay at his house. Like it's there's so much love in that
Mhm.
way, and that's all I was looking for because I knew if I found that, then the game would just come. I told him I was like, if you can help me find that, I promise you I'll run through a wall for you. Like,
Yeah.
and I think we just connected on that level, and that's all I was really looking for. So I'm really glad they were able to provide me that because it really elevated my game.
Yeah. I'm interested as well. Obviously, the family aspect is something I feel like I've heard a couple players talk about with Jeff. So obviously, that is a fairly common denominator with him. And I am intrigued though on kind of the more basketball side of it. What type of preparation goes on? Because it feels like every time like the tournament comes around, Louisville is just like, all right, so they're gonna get to at least like the Sweet 16, at least, like it just
Yeah,
it
Elite
like
Eight.
it never, no matter what, no matter the factors, no matter what like the team has kind of done the entire year, he just Jeff Walls always seems to figure it out, is what it kind of feels like. So I'm kind of intrigued if there's any insight in like the preparation going into postseason play specifically, if there's anything different or what kind of makes him special in achieving that.
Well, I'll say two things. The first thing is when you go to a Final Four 4 times, like
Mm-hmm.
you know how to win in that aspect, then you can get yourself back, even if
Mm-hmm.
your team maybe wasn't the number one team in the nation that
Right.
year. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's one thing I think people who win understand. Like at the end of the day, like UConn, for example, maybe they have fallen a little short compared to past years, but they'll still go Sweet 16 and Elite Eight, and no one will talk
Mm-hmm.
about that. And it's like that's really hard to do, guys. I don't think
Yeah.
you're understanding that concept. It's because they win and they know how to win, and coaches just know how to get back there. But for our prep, I know from my personal preparation for our Final Four
Mm-hmm.
run, oh, it was a lot. Like I'm not saying we necessarily changed it a lot, but
Mm-hmm.
that whole year we worked our asses off. Sorry to
Mm-hmm.
curse, but
No, you're
like
good.
we
No, you're
worked
fine. You're
really
fine.
hard. We worked so hard. I've never seen a team work so hard. We were in that, and if it wasn't in practice, we were staying after. We were coming back
Mm-hmm.
in at night. Me and Haley, or me and Riss, or whoever it was, Mikasa. We just had a bunch of workhorses, and I feel like that's what got us where we were. But then we lost to that Miami team in the AC tournament by the buzzer beater,
Mm-hmm.
and it flipped the switch in us. Like I don't think people understand. I think Katie said it one day though in an interview. She was just saying how like she was like, I think we just took Louisville to a Final Four, and honestly, she was right. We got together as a team. We let out our frustrations to each other with respect, and we got back on the court, and we were just a different team.
Mm-hmm.
I think we needed that like humbling loss in a very like humbling way for us to get to where we need to go. I really wish we went to a national championship. It still sits in me as regret because I fouled out that game, and
Mm-hmm.
obviously South Carolina was an amazing team that year. But yeah, we just worked really hard. It wasn't a add-on preparation thing. We worked
Yeah.
like that since the summer.
Yeah. I'm also interested. You mentioned there like the grind of the NCAA tournament, which like obviously from like the outside looking in, like we know it ain't easy to go and make it to a Final Four, but like just how can you kind of describe just how difficult a Final Four run really is? Because I agree with you where I think there's some of these programs that are the kind of the premier programs that we take it for granted that they're just kind of able to do this year in year in, and so kind of can you give us some insight in just how difficult and taxing a deep run into an NCAA tournament can really be?
Yeah, I mean, I'll put it like this: when we went to I think it was when we were playing the Elite Eight to get to Final Four. We played Michigan.
Mm.
I was gassed.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think I took 23s that game, missed every one. He pulled me aside. And he went, "I've never told you not to shoot before, but you gotta stop shooting." He was like, he was like, "Em, just you have 20 rebounds. Get me 25. That's all I need you to do." I couldn't feel my legs.
Mm.
I was so tired. Like my team was carrying me. I looked at Haley. I went, "Hey, I'm gonna do my best, but I'm gassed out. Like I need you to turn up this game, or Keanu Smith, can you turn up this game because I'm struggling." And then vice versa, we would split off.
Right.
That's the big thing, having people step up when others can't in that run. It's exhausting. It's exhausting. By the time we got to the Final Four, I was just happy that we got there.
Yeah.
Obviously, I wanted to win, but I was so tired. Like if you're playing 30 minutes, some of these girls are playing 40.
Yeah.
And you're playing every other day. You're traveling in between. It's exhausting. it takes a different mindset to get there. And you're practicing, and we were practicing. It wasn't like we were just getting in and walking around. We were still practicing. Because I'll never forget, like, we had a practice before the Final Four, and I always take practice seriously, but like I took it really seriously that day. Like if you didn't high five me, I was screaming at you. Like we were fighting because we're going. We want to go to a Final Four.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? So everybody's mental just went into a different drive.
That's great. Like I said, I can't even. I can see, like, just based on the schedules. Like I know they got to be tired, but like living it is. I mean, obviously a completely different level of knowing just how taxing that could be. But Emily, I do want to kind of hit you, as you know, we're kind of wrapping up here with some, not necessarily, you don't gotta go quick, but a little rapid fire on some NYC questions. Okay.
Okay.
And I got one more question about March.
Okay, go ahead.
In rapid fire, right now, who would you say is going to be the champion this year?
That's tough. Honestly, I probably got South Carolina.
Okay.
Fair.
I know I shouldn't say that. I could always say Louisville,
fair.
But if we're just being honest,
No, let's. I mean,
at the end of the
listen.
day, they're looking really good.
Yeah. Okay. So some NYC questions, real quick. Subway pro tip. Do you have any pro tips for someone? Hey, you ever been to NYC? What's the best way to navigate the city, figuring it all out?
Yeah, I mean, you gotta get on the train, like you do. You shouldn't be out there driving around everywhere. Get on the trains and just explore. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm big on, you can walk into any deli in New York City and like it's gonna be a good sandwich. Do you know what I'm saying?
Give me your order. Give me your deli.
I was about to ask, what's the order? What's the order?
See, it's tough because I'm kind of a healthy eater, so I'm not just out there getting sandwiches. But okay, if I was on like a cheat day, I would. I mean, I love a good bacon, egg, and cheese. You can't go wrong.
Can't go
But
wrong
our
with it.
bagels. If I'm going to cheat day, I'm getting a bagel. I'm getting a bagel with like hella jalapeno cheddar cream cheese. We got random cream cheeses there. And these bagels, I'm talking, they're like this big, some of the stores. With bacon, crispy bacon, and avocado.
Okay, now New York is one of the like street ball capitals of the world. There's people out there just hooping. Do you have, whether it be at one of the big parks like a Dykeman or a Rucker, or do you have any kind of on the street hooping memories that come to mind when thinking about NC hoop?
Yeah, I would say I mean Dykeman. I gotta give a shout out to Dykeman. They've always shown me so much love, and it's super fun because right after our championship, the men will be on, and that I was gonna say arena, that area is packed. Like it's packed and it's rowdy and it's so fun. So yeah, Dykeman, I've had really good memories in Dykeman. I never won a chip, but I've gotten to a couple and it was always a blast.
All right,
what's your favorite New York sports team?
There you go. There you go.
Probably the Knicks.
So when is the best time that you've experienced to be a New York City sports fan? Whether it be like the U.S. Open's in town, or the Knicks are winning, the Yankees are winning. Like, what is the
Knicks
best
championship? Time? We're still waiting. But a Knicks
Let's say you haven't experienced that one, but
we're waiting. But when it comes, then we're gonna tear the city down. I promise you. I just know.
Okay, Emily, what's your latest tattoo?
I can flip it and show it if you guys want me to.
Go ahead, yeah. If you like.
It's it hurt super bad. It took 2 sessions, but I just got this on my knee.
Oh
done.
Wow!
It's like a skull inside a butterfly kind of thing, and there's no meaning to it. I just thought it looked cool, and I really like it. Valid. Yeah.
Favorite place to get tatted in NYC?
Okay, it's called Go Tattoo. His name is Chung. That is my brother. Like he will pick me up from my crib, come tap me and buy me lunch all in one session. Like he is the GOAT. He's show him love because he's really good. He's done my whole leg and most of my tattoos from.
All right, last one here for the NYC questions. You mentioned lunch. What culture in NYC got the best food across the board? If you were to pick one.
Okay, so I'm gonna give 2 just because that's hard. That's really hard.
You can
I love our Indian food actually. Like my brother put me on like 3 years ago, but I think we have really good Indian food in New York City, but our Mexican food is super good too. And our Italian. I don't know. The Italian's really good too.
The Italian,
I'm very skeptical, but I'm gonna rock with Italian.
I feel that. We do have a lot of cool places though to try out. The Mexican food's pretty solid. I'm not gonna lie.
There we go. Now it's noted. I would have never guessed Mexican food was going to be the answer there. I'm not going to lie to you. So that was the Italian I can get with, but the Mexican food I wouldn't have guessed. But Emily, thank you so much for joining us here on the NoCast Space. This was a fantastic conversation. We're going to be tapped in with you at AU. We're going to wish you the best of luck in training camp with the Mystics, tapped in the entire way. Thank you so much for coming through to the NoCast Space.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.